Okay, before we get started, there's a few things we need to go over. The first is make sure you print your quick guide. It has a checklist of all the forms you need to file to get your papers done. The second is, number one here on my list, is get a container, get a case, a big envelope, a briefcase, something to keep your papers in. People who try to keep their papers in a rubber band or piled in their car usually will end up missing hearing notices, missing deadlines. It's not a good idea to do that. What am I talking about? I'm talking about there's a clipboard that I have. It's a clip case. The inside of it looks like this. You can even keep a tablet in here, or over here, and keep your papers all together so you don't lose them. This right here is a clipboard case. They sell these at Staples, at Office Depot, Walmart. They all have them, and they all open up, and you can keep all your papers together. You won't lose them. This is a bin I got at Walmart. It's $5. It's got a handle, a lid. Use something like this to keep all your papers together. Believe me, you won't be sorry later on. It'll really help. All right, so the next thing is make sure you review your judicial circuit page for documents that are unique to your location. A lot of locations, a lot of jurisdictions require you to file something called a standing orders or designation of jurisdiction. There are unique forms to each circuit, and I've provided the place to find those for you. Just take a look. This is the member start page. Remember the big red button, you can't miss it. Just go here to the judicial circuit page. It doesn't matter if you don't know which circuit you live in. It's all spread out. Just pick your county. So say you're in Charlotte County. All right, there it is. You know it's the 20th Circuit. Do the acknowledgments, the lawyer stuff. All right, 20th Circuit. What am I talking about? Well, the Judicial Circuit, there's the mediation office, if you need to know that. I've put that there for you. Standing orders. This is what I'm talking about. Self-help program, see here on the right? Standing order, Charlotte County Self-Help Program brochure, and then standing order. You need to file standing orders. There it is. With every case, and you would print these out and bring it to the clerk's office with your divorce package. That's what I'm talking about, okay? Back to the list. All right, so I'm going to walk you through completing your papers. Follow along. If you have any questions, if there's anything specific or you don't understand something, please email me. I'll do my very best to help you. I'll get back to you as soon as I can. Also, when completing your papers, remember, in the very beginning, there's a questionnaire that has your name, the respondent's name, or if you're doing an answer, everybody's names, addresses, everything you need. You don't print after you're done with the questionnaire. There are two separate documents you need to fill out after that, called the UCCJEA and the financial affidavit. I will show you those. You don't need to worry about that now, but that's in the packet. Okay, so don't complete the questionnaire and print it out. Complete the questionnaire, follow along, do the UCCJEA and the financial affidavit. I'll do it with you. I'll show you exactly what you need. After you've completed your papers, don't print them out 3 times and then take them to a notary. The notary is going to charge you for notarizing 3 separate documents. Print them once, go to the notary. Okay, have them notarized. Then copy them 3 times. Remember the rule of 3s. You give the original to the clerk. You keep a copy for yourself, and a 3rd copy goes to the opposition. Some clerk's offices want an extra copy. I usually do it 3 times, all right? But generally, most clerk's offices, you only need to have 3, okay? Go to your local clerk's office. The addresses are all there on the website for you. There are 67 counties and 20 judicial circuits, but it's all there for you. Go there to file your papers. You're going to find the address on the judicial circuit page. Somebody might tell you, hey, there's a way to electronic file. You can scan your documents and file. Right now, they're getting better, but right now it is not user-friendly. It's very difficult. You're going to make mistakes. Just take it to the clerk's office. Hand it to them. Hand them a check for the filing fee. Hand them a check for the service of process with the sheriff, and you're good to go. Okay, filing fee is in between $400 and $500. It's usually close to $400, $408, $415. There's no rhyme or reason, but it's generally that amount. You're also going to need $40 for the sheriff's department if you want them to serve your papers, but you also may need more if you use a private process server. Excuse me. If you want to use a private process server, you're going to need to hire that person yourself, or you can just give the check to the clerk, and they'll probably deliver the papers to the sheriff for you, and you're done. Okay? Follow along. Email me if you have any questions. Use the blog to get your questions answered. Good luck. Let's get to work. This is the format you'll use if you've been served with a summons and a petition for dissolution of marriage with children. That means you and your spouse have produced children together during the marriage. The kids are of the marriage and they're under 18, they're minors. When you go to do this form app, it's important that you have the papers you were served handy. You're going to need them. You'll get something like this, a summons. You're the respondent. If you're filing an answer, it'll have the case number on it and it'll say to you, this will be your name and address here. Okay? But everything you need is right here on this, the front part of the first paper to fill in the form app. So let's take a look. So we just saw on that summons, we're looking for the circuit and the county. Well, the circuit's 12th. You obviously know what county you're in, Sarasota County. So let's put that here in capital letters. Okay, and the petitioner, that'd be the person who's suing you. And that would be the husband. And his address, you need to put it here. Let's say he lives in Venice. I'm making this up. The address is up, but you put yours in there, obviously. Petitioner's date of birth. Let's put whatever Fred's date of birth is right here. And his social, if you have it, put it in. If you don't have it, that's okay. Put his telephone number here. And his email. And respondent's name in caps, that would be you. In this case, the respondent is Wilma. She's the wife. Put your date of birth here. And your social security number. Your telephone number. And your email. Okay, and your address. Let's say you moved out, you're no longer living with Fred, who lives on Rock Street. Okay, whatever your address is, you put in here. So obviously it's going to be the same as was on the summons. Okay. Are there children in the marriage? Well, in this case, yes, there are. How many? Well, Fred and Wilma had one child, Pebbles, if you remember. I'm going to put 2 here, just so you could see what it looks like when you put 2 children. So the oldest child, let's make it Pebbles. And I don't remember her middle name, so I'm just going to use generic, her initials. She's child number 1, so put female. Place of birth, she was born in Venice. And her date of birth, let's say she's, I don't know, 7 years old. So let's do October 31st. She was born on Halloween. Okay, and I know I have a spot here for a social security number. Nowhere in the forms is it required that you put your children's social security number. It's good to have it handy in case you need it. I've never put a child's social security number in their papers. I've never had a judge ask for it. If they ask for it, you can do it later. You can put it in later. Okay. The second oldest child, well, Fred and Wilma didn't have another child, but let's make one up for purposes of this form. Rocky, Joe. All right. Child number 2, Rocky's male, place of birth. You don't use zip code, and date of birth. Let's say Rocky's a little bit younger. How about I don't know, May or April 15th, 2013. All right, and there's a place for his social, but you don't need it. Now, if you've got a third child, fourth child, you can put those in. And if you have a fifth child, you can list it in the UCCJEA later, any other kids. All right, and the other thing too is the form requires a case number. So you get that off your summons. See, it's right here. I'm just going to copy it. And you put that here. Done. All right, now you're not done. You don't print the forms yet because there are a couple of things in here that need to be completed. So let's get to it. You'll notice everything is filled in already. All these form fields are filled in. This is your answer to the petition. I've already answered it for you. You're going to agree as to the recitals, in other words, that the two of you were married on this date and time. And jurisdiction is appropriate. If it's not, you go ahead and go in here and delete this and type it in. All right, you disagree with anything having to do with the issues such as property and the children finances, whatever it is. If you want to list the numbers of the counts 1, 2, 3, 4 of the petition that you disagree with, you can do that here. But I have a blanket statement for both that'll work. Okay, as it pertains to the Child Support Guidelines worksheet, you're not going to do a Child Support Guidelines worksheet in the beginning. You need to get copies of pay stubs, tax returns, etc. So you're going to file it later. The financial affidavit, we're going to do that right now. Okay, so file with the answer, and you're going to mail a copy to old Fred, email a copy to whoever your spouse is, not Fred obviously, and put down the date that you're going to send it. So let's say it's today, whatever today is. I'm making up a date here. Good enough. Okay. All right, but you see the clerk's packet has you filling this out and handwriting this in like 50 times. It's a pain. All right. If you've got a fax number, you can put it here. I usually don't bother. All right. Everything else is already filled in, except for the UCCJEA and the financial affidavit. We need to go through those real quick. This form here, the court system needs to know if there's any other pending cases, child support cases, cases in another state having to do with the children. The court system wants to know where your children have lived for the last 5 years. It's usually pretty easy to do because most of the time the kids, if you're not moving around too much. If you are, you'd put like, let's say for 12 months you live from here, this date to this date, I don't know, December 2015 through December 2016. You could put that here and then put the address where you lived. It's all pretty self-explanatory. Let's just say from 2014 or 2013 to the present, Fred stayed in the marital home. Oops, that's not it. Let's say, yeah, it was 1122 Rock Street. 1122 Rock Street. Okay, everybody lived there together. Okay. And you just put the present address. You've already listed the address. Just type it in here. Fred Flintstone, same address. And then Wilma Stone, 1122 Granite Street. Okay. Whatever it was. Okay. Relationship. Well, it's you parents. Problem solved. Okay. That's all you need to do. And we've done this for Pebbles, but we got another child, don't we? We got Rocky. You don't need to retype it or reinvent the wheel. Just put same as child number 1, and you're done. All right. Scroll down the form. I know I'm going fast. These are for other kids if you have them. Now, participation in custody. If there's prior cases, you list them here. Check this box and you'll list them here. If they're not, most people don't have any. You just check that box. Any other custody proceedings in another court or any other state, you'd put them here. You don't have any knowledge, you check that box. Okay. Nobody else claims to have custody of the child. That's fine. But if there is information, you can just type it in here. Okay. The children are not subject to existing child support orders. Okay. So you check that box. If they are, you just put it in here. All right. And you're going to mail it and email it. It's usually that easy. And everything else is filled out. Now the last thing you need to do is something called a financial affidavit. All right. Do not be afraid of this form. Most people are freaked out by this form, but I'm going to show you how easy it is. Okay, let's say Wilma, oh, I don't know, is a bookkeeper, employed by Inc. Making it up. Okay, just put it in there. Now this form goes by month. Okay, I know they've got these boxes here for every week, every other week. The form is a monthly form. So what you're going to do is you're going to put your pay rate here in this box monthly. Now this is the gross you're putting in. This is the before taxes. Okay, before the tax comes out and the Medicare tax comes out and the whole 9 yards, what are you paid? Let's say you're paid $3,000. It's the easiest way. I'll just use a round number. Monthly gross salary. Then you put it here. Do not use decimals here. Round to the nearest dollar. This form does not like decimals. I did the best I could with it. It'll do the math for you, but decimals will confuse it. So if you've got $1.95 or $1.55, $1.50, you round up to $2. Okay, but if it's lower, $1.49 or $1.20, whatever it is, lower than $1.50, you put $1. Okay, just round to the nearest dollar. All right, so let's say you make $3,000 a month. All right, but the form does the math for you. I'll give you an example. Let's say you're getting income from, I don't know, a trust or something. The trust is that's line 12. Let's say you're getting $500. See how the form does the math for you? It'll add it up. Now, let's say you're in a hurry to get this done, but you don't have a pay stub handy. If you do have a pay stub, just fill all this in. Okay, everything here that you got to fill in, just fill all this in. All right, but let's say you don't have a pay stub and you don't know it. Well, there's a little note here. Multiply it by 0.15 for a good ballpark. You can use 10% too, 0.10. I use 0.15. It's usually the easiest way to do it. So $3,500 times 0.15 would be $525. Okay, you can use 10%, whatever. And I have throughout this that some figures may be approximations. And this will go in line 19 as a good ballpark for whatever taxes are coming out. Like I said, it'll do the math for you. If 525 is taken out for taxes, insurance, etc., this is what's left. Okay, it'll subtract it for you. All right, now, as it pertains to the rest of this form, remember it's monthly. So you put the monthly amount for rent, whatever it is, property taxes. If you're renting, you put that here. Utilities, phone, food, I don't know, monthly. Okay, where it gets tricky is something like repairs. So last month there weren't any automobile repairs. The month before you didn't have to make any automobile repairs. But once a year you have to get tires, you have to get brakes, you have to get something fixed. So let's say during the year, just one time, you got tires and brakes and whatnot. Let's say you spent $1,200, right? But this is monthly. You're not going to put the $1,200 here. But you didn't spend it $1,200 monthly. You spent $1,200 once during the year. So what do? You divide that by 12. There's 12 months in the year. So if you budgeted for $1,200, it'd just be $100 a month. Okay, problem solved. All right, let's use another example. Let's say gifts. Let's say you spent $3,600 during the year on birthdays, Christmas, Thanksgiving gifts, or Halloween gifts, or whatever you're giving. You spent $3,600. You're not going to put $3,600. You don't spend $3,600 a month. You spent, $3,600 throughout the year. So what do? You divide by 12. That'd be $300. Okay? And then you fill out the rest of this. If you spend $200 in gas, all right. And other, if you've got something strange you have to do monthly, put it here. Creditor, let's say you've got a credit card. Just put that in. All right, it's $200 a month. That's good. All right, so if you fill the rest of this out, whatever it is, okay? Now you're going to have a number at the bottom here, which is going to transfer to this place. Now you see if your incoming is $2,975, your net, and your outgoing is $2,900, there will be a surplus of $75 a month, or whatever it is. So let's say you're not spending $200 on your Bank of America credit card, right? It's zero. Let's say it's zero. Okay, not cost you anything. Well, then it'd be a 275 surplus. But let's say your incoming doesn't match your outgoing, and don't worry about that. That's most people. Okay, as long as you're not like $10,000 in the hole. If you're a few $100s in the hole, everybody's a few $100s in the hole. Nobody's going to expect you to survive, when you're getting a divorce. And they'll ask you, how are you surviving? The answer is, I'm not. I'm using credit cards. I'm borrowing money. Most people, their incoming doesn't meet their outgoing. If you're the exception to the rule, good for you. But take a look at this. Incoming is $29.75 for Wilma, or you. Expenses, for an example, are $33.75. So your outgoing doesn't meet your incoming. So you see this little minus here? It's $400. That would go here. So deficit, it's a deficit. So the deficit goes here. You don't have to put a minus. All right. The minus is just to show you. If you had a surplus, remember that was $75, you would just put that 75 here. So surplus goes here, deficit goes here, and the form is done as it pertains to the budget. Now, as it pertains to assets and liabilities, it doesn't matter so much as to how much something is worth as it is to listing it. I'll give you an example. Let's say you've got a pension. So we'll call it a Halliburton, I don't know, making it up, pension. And the value is unknown. Okay? You've listed it. You're not hiding anything. Okay? You just don't know how much it is. You can find out how much it is by ordering a statement or sending a subpoena or something. But the fact that you've listed it shows you're not trying to hide the ball. Let's say you don't list it. And the judge will ask you later, well, why didn't you list that? Are you trying to hide the money in there? No, I'm not. I just forgot. No, list everything you have. Okay, you're obligated to do that. As it pertains to amounts, I've put throughout this that approximate numbers are here. You have to list the assets. You can approximate the numbers. Okay, and this thing will do the math for you. Let's say you got $300. You can check these boxes. It's not absolutely necessary. Cash in the bank, you've got $500 in the bank. All right, look, it's doing the math for you. Okay. Liabilities, same thing. List what it is. How much it's worth, it doesn't really matter so much. So you got a Bank of America credit card. Okay, you don't know how much is owed. Let's say you owe $10,000. Do not put a comma here. Just like you don't put a decimal, don't put a comma here. Just use a round number. The comma will mess it up. See, it does the math for you. All right, easy peasy. Just whatever it is, put it here. Contingent assets and liabilities. This form does not do a good job of explaining what a contingent asset or liability is. A contingent asset is something you might be getting in the future. A good example is, let's say you slip and fell in a store or something, and your lawyer says you're going to get $10,000 from lawsuit. It doesn't mean you have to share it, but you have to list what it is. The information must be there. Otherwise, you're hiding the ball, aren't you? Okay. Contingent means possible. That's an asset. Now, contingent liabilities, right here, this is the opposite of a contingent asset. Let's say you're being sued and you don't know, but you have a ballpark of what you might have to pay. You put it here. Okay? Then the form is done. Are you going to do a child support guidelines worksheet? Well, let's say the Department of Revenue has already calculated child support, then you're not going to do it over again. But let's say you are going to calculate when you get the pay stubs. Well, you'll file it later. And that's it. You're done. Guess what? After that, form's done. Okay? You don't have to do anything else. Everything's filled out already. Okay? If you want to put a secondary email, you can, but it's done. All right? All you have to do now is print it, find your notary, follow the steps that I've set forth for you in the quick guide, and you're good to go. Okay? Good luck.